Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode number 2 of Everything But the Song podcast. I'm your host, Tal Weisman, and with me today is my good friend, Johnny Shay, who's an awesome musician, singer-songwriter who I'm a fan of, but also was very lucky to have worked with. I talked to Johnny about life, about music, about his upbringing, and his move to Canada. But before we do all that, I'd like to play you a song by Johnny Shay called Gates to the Gods. It's a song that I was very, very fortunate to be able to work on with Johnny. I produced it. It was mixed and mastered by my good friend Gabe Gallucci, who will also be a future guest on the podcast. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. If you want to find out more about Johnny Shay, I will provide all the links to his music, to his social media, to everything that you can find out about him. And I think you should check it out because he's goddamn awesome. All right, episode number 2. Here we go. Cheers.
I'm running for the hills, but I don't wanna survive. I just wanna roll down 'em till the end of time. I don't know what to tell you, so I'll say it anyway. The way we're going, we'll be back again. There's nothing on my mind, and I'm grateful for that. The only thing that this head ever gave me was an ache. Nothing planned, no solution down the line. And the only thing up my sleeve is a watch that fucking lied about the time. They say now and I say later. Give me truth, truth, and only truth. I gotta live, I know my limit. There's gotta be more to life than living. And when the demons, they come to take me, you gotta tell them I'm already gone. I gotta forget about getting to the gates of the gods, to the gates of the gods, the gates of the gods. And just like death, I gotta give it everything I got. I saw a younger man, he reminded me of myself, and I said, do yourself a favor and be someone else. 'Cause this worrying gets you nowhere. It takes all of your sense, and the songs you write have already been written. They say now and I say later. Give me truth, truth, and only truth. I gotta live, I know my limit. There's gotta be more to life than living. And when the demons, they come to take me, you gotta tell them I'm already gone. I gotta forget about getting to the gates of the gods, to the gates of the gods, to the gates of the gods. And just like death, I gotta give it everything I got. I gotta live, I know my limit. There's gotta be more to life than living. And when the demons, they come to take me, you gotta tell them I'm already gone. I gotta forget about getting to the gates of the gods, to the gates of the gods, to the gates of the gods. And just like death, I gotta give it everything I got. 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 I gotta give it everything I got.
All right, episode 2 of Everything But the Song. Welcome. I'm Tal Weisman, your host, and today with me is the finest export I know from the Emerald Isles after Guinness. His name is Johnny Shay. He's a dear friend and a fantastic musician who, if you don't love him by now, it's just because you've never met him. But yeah, he's here with me, and I'm lucky as always to be with him. Hello, Mr. Johnny Shay. How's it going, dude?
Thanks for that introduction, man. That was absolutely gorgeous.
Well, listen, I'm, every time we're together in the room, I'm always I was thinking to myself, like, I'm a fan of you, and obviously we got to work together, but also like, I was just like, I'm a fan of your music, but then I'm like, you're also like a friend, and it's like, this is sick. Like, I got to hang out with somebody who I'm actually like, you know, a little bit starstruck by sometimes, you know, because I'm like, how does this guy write like the best music ever, and especially lyrics like just unreal. But you know, it's have I made you uncomfortable yet?
I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
Ah, great, awesome. Well, if you ever feel down, come over. I have I have a lot of hours of this stuff for you. So.
No, but I feel quite the same actually. I'm not trying to like, you know, fucking just give it back one for one, but I remember the reason we got musically involved together was a mutual friend of ours showed me some of the old Ascot Royal stuff, and I was blown away. And yeah, so it's the exact same for me.
Beauty. Well, I'm glad that we feel in equally great presence. So, I have you over today because this is still, you know, I guess the baby stages of this new endeavor that I'm going on with this podcast, and I think my like I explained to you before, my goal is to sort of, you know, have very loose, off the cuff conversations with musicians who I admire, appreciate, feel that, you know, I've gotten to know, or I'll probably end up talking to people I don't really know, but, you know, want to get to know. And I think, much like myself, I think a lot of people share the same curiosity, and they kind of want to know about the person behind the songs, what, you know, what kind of life you've had, what kind of experiences you've had, what do you want to, and which ones, you know, you're obviously comfortable sharing and all that stuff. But, you know, so it's very loose, but I obviously don't want to throw into like, well, you know, I went to kindergarten in this place in Limerick, and but like just kind of the general outline for people who don't know Johnny Shay. You were born obviously in Ireland. You moved to Canada, what is it, 2 years ago now?
3 years ago now.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, time flies.
Yeah, man, time flies. I think we met when I was here a year. I think it's been 2 years.
Right. Yes, you're right.
Which
you're
is
right. Yeah.
mad.
Yeah, I was I remember that we went out for a beer at this place called the House on Parliament.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that?
You were living in the area at the time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's before we had this awesome place, my wife and I, before we got the house. And yeah, no, it was quite cool because, you know, having seen like how you came here, and you just kind of, you and your girlfriend came here and just kind of, you know, tried your luck, I guess, at life in Canada. And yeah, like tell me about that. Like I know I made the move to Canada for pretty much, you know, the reasons of trying to chase music, trying to look for something, you know, for a different future for myself. But what was it like for you? Like what?
Yeah, I was back in Ireland. I was in a band, indie rock band, for years, and geez, we had a great time together. We're all still great friends and everything. But it was just getting to the point, we were together since we were I think it was around 14 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we grew up together, and our musical tastes developed over the years, and we put out 2 EPs and did some touring and things like that, and it was amazing. But then just as it came to probably in and around the 9-10 year mark, I think, of the band, it just felt like, I think the other guys were feeling it too, it just started to, things became repetitive. Right. They just weren't as exciting as they used to be, you know, like, right. And anyone that's in a band, 99% of people who are not just a band but pursuing music at all, they know that it's most of the time it's a struggle, you know, like putting on shows, trying to get people to the shows, trying to trying to cut through. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's really only the excitement that makes that endeavor worth it.
Yeah.
And once the excitement was kind of dying down a little bit for me, purely because it just felt like we were doing the same venues and the same kind of, I don't know, it just wasn't, there was no development really. Besides the music, we were still, I felt like we were still writing good songs. It was a lot more nerve-wracking doing that than putting out material with the band, because, you got they verified that 3 other people were verifying that they enjoyed it also. You know what I mean? So
let me ask you this. When you're in Ireland, you're in your old band. How old were you at the time? Like when you guys were really after it?
When we were really going for it, we would have been probably 18, 19.
Okay.
Was when it was like
fresh out of high school.
Yeah. So we were getting opportunities even before that, though, when I think about it, because we won as funny as it sounds now, but we won our city talent show when we were when we were like 15 or something. Okay. But one thing I'll never forget, and this is probably the most bittersweet memory I have, was Bob Dylan was coming to our hometown, right?
Oh wow.
And our city wasn't known at the time for these big shows, but we had one stadium for Munster Rugby, and we got some huge acts. Bruce came there, and Rod Stewart, and it was Bob Dylan's time, and he apparently had requested that a local band, he wanted to open the show. So we submitted our track, our single at the time, and hundreds of bands, obviously. I don't know where they all came out of, but apparently there was hundreds of bands in our city, but definitely was not, actually.
Oh.
And
hundreds of like buddies who jam once every 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. They all came out of the woodwork.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we got a call then, and we were into the final 5, and we were only 6. Some of us were 16 and 17 at the time, so we were fucking. Jeez, we were excited. We were. Yeah. This is it, like, and I remember we played. I just finished high school that day. So I was 17, finished the final day of high school. It was a Friday, and then I was to play the final 5 bands were to have a battle of the bands at our local venue.
Yeah,
and the other bands were considerably older than us as well. There was we were definitely the youngest by a long stretch, and so we played the show or whatever, and the set went horrendously.
Oh,
it was fucking. Yeah, there was. I don't know if it was the whiskey that got to us or
the pressure.
Something went wrong. Anyway, guitars are out of tune, I'd say, and the whole lot. But we gave it our all, and but we didn't get the show to open for him anyway. But I remember just that day of two different extremes, of like the excitement, and then afterwards we were devastated. But in hindsight, it was
well, it also seems like that would be, you just finished high school, and here's this like, giant opportunity. It's like almost like off the jump. You're like, hey, like we're jumping into the real world. Here's an opportunity to open for Bob Dylan. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
I've heard he's had a few good songs.
Yeah.
So you're fresh out of high school now. Between that and moving to Canada, like it takes a couple of years, obviously.
Yeah. That's the thing when these opportunities, even if you don't, even if they, for regarding the competition, we didn't win or whatever, but just even getting recognized at that stage of your musical career or whatever, it keeps the boat moving, Mm-hmm. It makes everyone go, oh, maybe we're onto something here. So all those little things, they added to the longevity of the band, and we all when we were in college, and we all ended up doing a summer in New York City as a band, and that was fun. That was it was crazy, but it was fun. And we were only I think we were 20 or something at the time. It was an intense time, but we were when you're at that age too, it was just everything was fun, and there was no real pressure at the time, you know.
No.
Like, we weren't thinking about fucking 10 years down the line. We were thinking about when's the next cool show we're gonna get.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Gets different then when you start pushing on a bit and you start thinking about the bigger picture. But back then it was definitely week by week. When's the next Friday night show kind of thing?
Big old party.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to ask you, so like after how long between like, you know, you go to high school and then when do you go to college? Like, is it like kind of a straight away type thing?
I went straight away, and because I finished school first out of all the boys. Because in Ireland, you have a middle year in high school called transition year, and you have the choice to skip it or continue. And I remember just the head of our year at the time said, if you hate school, skip it, and if you don't mind school, do it. So I skipped it, and that's literally I decided at that moment. He said that, and I was gone. And then I went to Limerick Institute of Technology then to study music production and sound engineering kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
yeah, man.
Were you working at all? Like
Had to get my first job. Worst job I ever fucking had, to be honest. So I was I had to get a car. It was Nissan Micra. It was in one of my auntie's old cars, and we got it done up to get it back on the road, and because it was the only way I could get out to college every day. And so I had to get a job. Then I ended up getting a fucking cleaning job it was collecting glasses and cleaning in a local nightclub for one of the student nightclubs, and my God, it was horrendous.
So how many days a week?
So I'd be in there on the and it was nighttime, obviously nighttime, but midweek when the students were in the town, because Limerick, my hometown, has a massive university as well, right?
Okay,
so the population of the city during the week is way bigger than the weekends because there's so many students there. So I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights were the big ones, and that's where I'd be. And sometimes you'd even see like old fucking friends from school coming in, and they're just having a great laugh, and you're there like cleaning the toilets, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of know what that's like. When I moved to Canada, after I finished school, like going to school for audio engineering, I didn't leave school and have somebody wait with with a list of bands waiting to work with me. I had to kind of get my name out there, and our buddy Ben Chavot was very instrumental in that. He actually set me up with a bunch of like local bands, but it still wasn't anywhere near enough to make a living. So I actually went to this restaurant called the Rex Hotel in Toronto. It's like a jazz bar. It's like an old, very well known jazz bar.
Sick.
And I worked there in the kitchen for the longest time, and it's obviously not what I wanted to do, and it could get to you like some nights when you're watching people, eating chicken wings and drinking beer and watching, awesome jazz bands, and you're like slaving away. Like, I couldn't even afford an order of chicken wings right now. So,
Oh yeah, I know, man. The struggle is real.
It is, but I feel like you kind of have to go through it, to appreciate any sort of progress in life. It comes from one of those situations where you're working at something really shitty, and for me personally, it was always also like a drive, like that drove me to going like, I never want to work at that restaurant again. Nothing against the restaurant, just more the actual
how you want to
job
spend
itself.
your time.
Yeah, it just feels like a waste of time. I'm like 9 hours in this place where I could be recording some band, I could be writing music for a commercial or a movie or whatever. But did that have any effect on you at all? Like
the strange thing about coming out of college as well was because I got the degree or whatever in audio engineering, we'll call it. But I never really had a passion for recording other people. Probably should have realized that sooner, but I don't know. It was always I was interested to a point, right, where
Right.
like, and there was a lot of times in the course and things where everything that was being said, if it wasn't directly relevant for my music, I kind of just like, closed off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
I totally understand, and I could have been just as I could have been in the same position exactly when I went to school, because I was in the same mindset, but my mindset was like, okay, I'm done doing the band thing, like, because when I went to audio schools at the end of like a 7-year band that I was in, that was like, it's friends that I have to this day. But when that fell apart, I was like, fuck bands. I'm not going to bands ever again.
yeah.
So I was like, but I'm going to record them. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the guy on the other side of that, of the booth.
And do you love that just as much? Like, which side of the window do you like being on?
I don't know, man. It's different.
Really, yeah,
It's
it's
really
even close.
different. It's really different on different days because, look, I always tell people being on stage is the biggest reward you can possibly have. It's if you haven't done it, if you haven't had a show that really worked, that really went well, and you got that rush from the crowd, you can't. I can't compare it to anything. And I've always said the reason I don't have any addiction problems is because I'm addicted to doing that. And as long as I can do that, I'm good,
I hear you.
So obviously, COVID's been kind of tough because, none of us really can do it. And you're not excluded from that problem. I mean, really everyone is. But, yeah, I don't know. I think for me personally, it's just always been about I think I realized it was about making really the best music I can. And, I sort of ended up with Ascots, and I didn't try to be a band member at all because I didn't even think they'd let me stay in the country. Like, I didn't know if they would.
Yeah.
And so my plans were kind of all over the place. But going back to the whole idea of like being in audio school, I just thought like, they would start talking about like, oh, for hip hop, they do this. And for EDM, they do that. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to work on that. I'm going to work on fucking rock bands. Like, tell me what the rock bands, like that was my mindset. If it didn't concern rock bands, I didn't really care. But luckily I have this mentality where I'm super curious. So eventually it got to me. Like eventually, even just not that I thought I would ever make hip hop. Now I kind of do everything.
Yeah.
And I'm actually thankful that I did pay attention to everything. But yeah, like I totally see where you're coming from. You're like, if it doesn't concern me directly, I don't really want to know about it. And
because I was at that stage as well. I wasn't going. I was really only going to school because you're kind of just that was the culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like I didn't. It was never that I dreamed of being an audio engineer or anything like that. It was just what is
you got to study something.
Yeah, what am I half interested in here? You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
if I had my time back again, I probably would have taken a bit of time out and. Because now that I'm a little older, I'm actually interested in other things.
Right.
But at the time, it was just like, especially when when you're starting out in a band, it's anyone that's never been in a band, they probably don't understand how, as you said, addictive that rush can be, where you're playing live and you start to get that little follow in and. You know what I mean? It's just, and then there's that, there's a kind of a brotherhood as well.
Absolutely.
Which is, you don't find it a lot outside of it. Like playing sports, obviously, is probably the only other place you find it. But
yeah, I feel like the friendships you make playing with people, for whatever reason, even if it's not being in a band, like I know. Like my buddy Mike McDonnell, who you've been on his podcast, and this is a sister podcast of his. But I know Mike through just having played a couple of gigs together before we were, before he played live with Kadima. It's more, we were doing the singing contest, and we played with another artist called Katie Francis, and just a bunch of stuff like that. And we became really close and really good friends. And there's just a bond, there's a bond when you play together, when you make music together, and if the personality you're with is cool too, that's like, it's so much more of a bonus, and you're probably more likely to be better friends with them. And I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and there's something interesting about a group of guys being in like you're going into a room, right? But through your music, you're trying to tap into emotions, which is it's very intimate endeavor. You know what I mean? You're not going in. No one's going in there to no one's going in there with like I want to come out of here with anything other than like good music and honest songs. And when you're talking about honest songs, it can get pretty you can be in a vulnerable place, especially if you're coming in there with lyrics and things. And I think subconsciously you're aware of that to a degree, but I don't know. I'm really struggling to articulate what I'm trying to say here, but I just think it is definitely not a normal, ordinary scenario to be in a room with 4 guys all trying to tap into the same emotion at the same time.
Yeah, well, you're essentially being intimate with each other in an artistic way. And there's 2 elements. One is that there's a general idea that's trying to take shape, but the reality is it could take shape in 4 different ways or 5 different ways, depending on how many people are in the room. And your interpretation or your original vision could be completely different from one of the other members, and they could look at it and they can either subtract from it or they can add to it, and it's all, and not that one is wrong and the other is right. It's just that it has to go somewhere, and not all those scenarios work out, but some of them do, and when they do, it's like it's magic. It's literal magic, and the room feels electric. That's my experience when when you go through that with a band and everybody kind of gets it, and you lock into that. It's unreal. It's this feeling of like, Jesus, look at what we just made together, a lot of the times it's not like that though.
Yeah, it's few and far between.
Yeah.
That's another thing about the band is you got multiple personalities. You got like 4 different time schedules. Like being in the band is no joke. Takes a lot of commitment. Yeah. That's one thing I kind of enjoy about just being a solo artist at the moment is there's an awful lot of freedom with your time, like I write songs when I feel like writing songs, which is can be at the most inconvenient times. Could be at 1 in the morning, and what I mean, I can make a demo.
Have an idea and you just
exactly and since I've been doing it, like when you think about it, I've been trying to write decent songs since I was probably, we'll say 14, right? So that's what is that?
I don't know. How old are you?
Yeah, that's in and around.
I never remember your age.
That's in and around 14 years on the trot, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, when I think about it, as I get older now, like, because when you're back and you're starting out and stuff, you're just like want to be the next cool band or whatever. But as because I keep doing it and I'm still in love with the craft. Yeah. That's now what I'm mostly interested in, is actually, I started like these days when I'm writing songs, I really try to say, am I just saying stuff for the sake of it, and do I really even give a fuck about what I'm writing here? And then if it doesn't get through that filter, I lose interest, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to it's the craft now that interests me, just how can I tap into that more often?
Yeah, well, you know, with everything that's going on right now in your life, obviously it's, you know, you've come here, you know, you've made a big stride over this last year with, you know, your getting involved with Slate Music and all that stuff. That's obviously like it's a huge step. I mean, it's not something that you can yet you know, you can yet show the world what that really means, but having known Slate and how they operate and where things come through, it's like I know that it's something that once you have your new music to put out and everything, it's going to really show, because, you know, people are going to only realize what a monumental thing you've landed and what a monumental step up you've gone through in a while, because you're going to have to release some stuff and you have to, you know, like that is going to have to unfold. But like, that aside, you know, that came in a time where now you're like, you can't actually do much about it, because the truth is, you know, releasing music right now is something that's like, it's difficult because you can't go promote it in any other way than online. You can't go play shows. You can't, like, it's just for the sake of songs living out there as songs. How does that, you know, and you could be as honest or open or as you would like, or not the other way. Like what do you feel about that? Like, how does that affect your life on the day to day?
Yeah, that's I think everyone has had a lot of time to think with this COVID, but you start to. I definitely had like some conversations with myself about what do I actually care about, and do you care that? What's the most important part of it? Is it that you write a song you actually you really love and that you put your heart into it, or is it just to get Spotify plays and you like the way the numbers look like, and then it's like the live aspect. The way I am now is the song is first and foremost for me, because that's just what I find most fascinating. Mm-hmm. And then live shows purely because I love the intensity of you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be alive, you might as well try feel as alive as possible. You know what I mean? So
and you're like, you know, again, just the one show we played together at the Dakota Tavern, I remember watching you and thinking like, wow, this is just one guy with an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar and a couple of songs, but I mean, you know, it's like you and a guitar basically, and that's the entire arsenal. And to me, seeing that, like, I don't know, the command of the room without even trying, you know, and I think it only comes across because of the intensity that you really truly put out. It's not intensity. You're not headbanging and you're not like, you know, jumping around, but you're just on stage being you all the way. If that makes sense. That's at least how I see it.
I hear you. And that probably, well, thank you anyway, first of all. But that probably came with age, because I think when you're starting out and you're developing as an artist, you're definitely, you know, you can be a little more performative. Right. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I just mean that sometimes I definitely wasn't. I was being performative for the sake of it, because I thought that's what you do. And
right.
You know, you
have you always been performative, or sorry, have you gone through like an arc as a solo artist? Like, once you've switched over to being a solo artist, do you feel like at first you were more performative and then over time you kind of dialed it down, or the other way? Like, what, you know, did you feel like major differences in there?
Yeah, the style of music definitely changes things too. Right. Like, it's hard not to go crazy when the drums are crashing down. Like, I love that, you know. Yeah. Like,
same.
It's just when you're doing the we'll just call it the acoustic stuff, it's you're relying a lot on the words of the songs, and you're relying on, you know, you got like basically one melody going, your voice, and I think you just got to be there isn't as much room for error, so you kind of gotta drill it in a bit more, you know, like, because it's if something goes wrong with the full band, you can get away with it. At least, you know, at least some of the time. But yeah, like when I was starting out, first it was extremely nerve wracking, and you'd be fucking twigging wrong notes here and there, and I think the fear of repeating that just kind of, you know, I think that you just focus a bit more.
Right. Do you find yourself still getting nervous before shows?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, and I like that. I think it brings in. I think it gives the performance some intensity. And that's what's exciting about it, you know. Like
feels like there are some stakes.
Yeah, the nerves are cool. At that time, but I just think, man, like I don't know, might be getting off topic here, but just in this day and age, like I feel there's very few times throughout the day where I can feel like I am really I don't know if the word is alive, but basically passionate about what I'm doing in that moment,
right,
with human beings who are not looking at a screen. They're in the room with you. It's just
like genuine interaction that's risky.
Exactly, yeah, because anything that's going out in the phones or all that bullshit is like, you know, it's all been edited. Like even when we all put out our songs on singles, like, or whatever, on your albums, like,
it's polished.
It's polished.
It goes through some sort of process, and I think that's, you know, you're saying, oh, this might be off topic. Like, first of all, not in my podcast. We don't have rules. You know? That's what it's called, Everything But the Song. We can talk about the songs, or we can talk about everything else. But that aside, I totally agree with you, and I think there's an element in playing live music that is just risky, because you can and will make mistakes.
Yep.
And it's all about how you live with them. You know, like some of my favorite memories is, you know, watching Simon Neil from Biffy Clyro play, you know, like O2 Arena, sold out, and playing the second verse of like one of their most famous songs that they've ever played. And, you know, and he starts singing the second verse, and he gets the lyrics wrong, and he can just kind of just like shuts up and looks away from the microphone, and the crowd just cheers because they're like, "Oh, he's human! There we go. He made a mistake. We all know, but we all know the lyrics." And it's like, you know what, man? Like, I just love him for it. I love him so much more for it, because I'm like, whatever, man. You made a mistake. It's totally cool. But the thing is, you know, he's obviously in a giant band, and they're, you know, they can afford to do whatever they want at this point. But, you know, for someone like you or me, or like people who are just kind of, you know, on a sort of, they're building their careers, and most of their shows are still kind of first impression for a lot of people. There's a bit of a risk in playing that and going like, okay, I'm going to present something to you, and I'm going to try and make it like the best version of it right now.
Yeah.
And you're sitting right in front of me in the audience, or standing, or whatever, and you're listening. And I agree, that element doesn't quite exist anymore, because everything is, you know, it's curated, or if it's not, if it's live, it's very lowbrow stuff. Like,
I hear you.
Yeah.
And before I started doing this 2 years ago, that I don't know why I started doing it. I think I just started. But before shows, I started having this kind of inner dialogue, and reminding myself that this could be the last time you ever get to go on a stage. Wow. And that just kind of used to just like really get me in the moment, in the zone, like, because I wouldn't just say it flippantly. I'd be like kind of like sitting to the backstage, or like just waiting to go on. I'd really like let that kind of overwhelm me a little bit, and then because I'm to be able to go up on stage and to write songs, and even whatever, if people like them or don't like them is irrelevant, but even just to have the chance to express myself through song and have people respectful enough to listen. Like I'm really grateful for that. Like, you know, like to be an artist is a blessing, you know.
Amen. Yes. I mean, I totally agree. It's definitely my saving grace in life is like it's what, to me, it's everything. It outlined everything in my life. I'm so grateful for it. It's really like, I don't know what I would be doing otherwise. I'd hate to think that I would have to do anything else. Surfing the Great Lakes doesn't seem like a job. So it's like, you know,
that's another thing that I kind of I can relate to you. You enjoy the outdoors as well, and ever since COVID, I've really started to just appreciate any, or maybe it's been going on for a while, but just appreciate nature and its natural beauty. You know, like because I'm living in a city, you do start to just, I don't know.
It'll get to you, man.
Yeah.
Just staring at concrete structures for too long. I don't think that we're meant to be like that. That's why, like, I've never been a giant fan of New York. I mean, I like New York. I like going there, but I'm not like, I can never see myself living there, even though like there are many similarities between New York and Toronto, but somehow I feel like, you know, New York is just a ginormous version of Toronto, and the attraction to move there for me would be zero. I mean, I don't see why I would move there, but someplace like LA or San Diego or, you know, freaking Nova Scotia or whatever, like where you're living in a city where you're more sort of in nature, like whether it's the desert, the ocean, the woods, you know, what have you. I definitely see more value in that, and I definitely, you know, the older I get, the more I realize, like, wow, you know, there's something about it. And have you been to Nashville?
No, I've never been there.
Nashville is an interesting place because it's not a very big city, and you know, when Jimmy and I would go there for writing sessions, a lot of times, you know, a lot of the writers live in the city, but then a lot of them live just outside, and like maybe like a half-hour drive outside. But it's cool because it's like all of a sudden you get to this dude who like lives, you know, in like this nice little house on the countryside, and it's just green and lush and cool, and you kind of you look around and you're like, I mean, yeah, like why not? There's a creek right here. There's a, you know, giant field behind you. You don't get the noise. You don't get the hustle, the pollution, and you've got Wi-Fi, man. We're good. You know, like what could possibly go wrong? So yeah, so I hear you. But have you been outdoors more now that it's like things are a bit more loose and you can go out?
Yeah, man. Like we try to get over to the islands once a week. Even just get to the far side of the islands and just look out at the open lake, and
yeah,
like I don't know, man. I genuinely feel healthier when I just get a break and I'm around, you know, trees and fucking whatever, lakes, rocks. I just love it, man. Yeah, so we've been we got out to Tobermory there recently, and
I need to go there. I heard it's
incredible. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning, man. Like there's this area where everyone goes up there to watch the sunset, and it's usually like fucking pink and I don't know, dreamy looking. And I got up in it, and I'm not a morning person at all. And I struggle to get up a lot of time, but we were watching the sunset or whatever, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for a swim right here at sunrise. And so I got up at 5 a.m. I don't know how I did it, but I did it anyway. And I actually went down, dived straight in, and I was like, fuck, I feel alive, man. You know, just
That's
felt
amazing.
It's just something about it, man. And that's when because I see your Instagram page and I see you go out surfing, and I'm always like, fuck, that's amazing, man. And
Yeah.
Surfing has always interested me as well because I used to skate for years and I love it, and I love looking at surfing.
Well, most of the surfers that I've met have all skated, myself included. So, yeah, well, I'll take you. Well,
I'd love to go.
well, all right. Well, we'll make. Well, we just this Saturday there was like a small little wave in Toronto, and Jimmy came out, and I've taken Jimmy when we've gone to LA, so I've taken him out surfing, and he loves it. And I have a really good friend, Andrew Sheriff, that I worked on some of his music. He's got his actual artist name is Whaley, and yeah, and we became friends when we were working on his record, and then, you know, he lived in Australia for a while, so he got into surfing there, and then we talked about it. We realized we were both super into it, and we kind of just at some point, you know, I started surfing and like here, and then he kind of was like, "Yo, dude, like, I want in. Like, I even got a surfboard." I was like, "Let's go," and then we just started going together, and now he's all in, and we have another British buddy who just moved here as well, and he's like, you know, he's super into it. It's a crazy kind of you know, in the winter months it's I mean, it's really something for the lunatics, but it's also, again, it keeps me very, very sane and alive feeling, because it's just it's the outdoors, it's the elements, it's nature. You kind of just get to experience it, and you don't think you need it. You don't think you're missing it until you start consuming it. And then you're like, where the hell was this my whole life?
That's amazing, man.
You know?
When I look at surfing, I just think it ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? It's outdoors, it's the water, it's focusing the brain on a task. It's feeling the flow of, I don't know, I'll have to give it a go, man. Yeah, fuck, I'd say so.
Yeah, so it's all those elements. And you know, it was funny, the first time I took Jimmy out, I was so pumped because I was just getting back into it, but I've done it before in Israel for a while.
You gave him a lend of a board, did you? Or?
No, we just this weekend, yes, but when we first went to LA for a writing trip together, we had 2 days off like over the weekend because like nobody really wanted to book writing sessions for that. So I was like, all right, cool, we're going surfing. And yeah, we just went in, and it was 2 hours that we were 2-3 hours that we were in the water. And you know, it's a hard sport, and it's not easy to get going, but once you do, it's addictive. And Jim was just having the time of his life regardless. Like, even though it was not the easiest go, but all things said and done, Jim, same thing, you know, skated since forever. And so it made it relatively easy for him to start. And then kind of, we got out of the water, and, you know, we're like carrying our boards back to the rental spot, and I'm like, so how are you feeling? I was like, man, it's fucking awesome. I was like, let me ask you, did you think about music this like for any moment? He's like, no, I haven't thought about music at all, not this entire time. I was like, that's why I do it.
Yeah, it's just a break for the brain, man.
Just a break. It's like, it's a different thing. It's a different struggle, and I find that, you know, for a long time, I didn't have a break from that in my life, and I would always think about music. And I don't know how it is for you, but for me, when I do get to kind of experience something else and then get back into music, it's always better.
100%.
It's always, and I think even this podcast for me is about exploring what's around it, like what's people's lives are like, what are.
Yeah.
You know, because we all talk about music all the time, man. Like, I mean, we can't get away from it. It's our number one passion, but there has to be a distractor at some point.
Yeah, man. Like, even during COVID, I remember I was, obviously my first instinct is like, oh fuck, I have a bit of time in my hands. There's the guitar. Here we go. Yeah. And it was, I don't know how many weeks in, but it was kind of becoming an all day, every day kind of thing where I just start twiddling away on the guitar, trying to come up with stuff. And I remember I got to a point where I would look at the guitar and be like, fuck that guitar. I fucking hate that guitar. You know, like, and then every song I would even listen to, I'd be like, nothing excited me, you know? And I literally didn't touch the guitar or try write or anything for about a week. And I just like did other things, and then, the batteries were recharged. I was excited again, but you can definitely overdo it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's no break from it, there's never gonna be like, nobody just keeps getting inspired without without getting a source of inspiration. Like, and I think that's a really important thing. It's sometimes you need to just not do it for a second and let yourself live life, because at the end of the day, we're not writing music for musicians.
Exactly.
Like we're not telling.
Jeez, that's very interesting that you said that. That's after just, I don't know, you just said it and that clicked in my brain there now. You're after sending me off on a tangent. Yeah.
Well,
Go on, continue.
You're welcome every day. I've got all kinds of insight. But no, but you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. When you play music, at the end of the day, like when I listen to your songs, I don't listen to them and go, here's a musician talking about being a musician. That's not what I hear. I hear, I listen to it and I go, here's a person talking about being a person.
Yeah.
Talking about like the struggles, the happy moments, the sad moments, like all the things that you had to go through, or all the things that you think you will go through, or you're going through right now, whatever it might be. Like that's what you're talking about. You're not going like, oh shit, yesterday I broke a string on my guitar. That's
No, I totally hear you.
Nobody cares about that,
Totally hear you.
So yeah, I think one of the most important things is to have experiences to even write about. And sadly enough, it's usually things like breakups and hardships that tend to get us going. But
seem to be the most intense.
Yeah, and I
unfortunately.
Yeah, but I was gonna ask you, did you have any? Did this scenario affect your writing in the sense that did it inspire you? Like, did the lockdown of COVID, or what's going on with just in North America with like the political climate, like with like racial injustice and stuff like that? Like, does that? I know it's very.
Yeah,
it's kind of a left turn in the conversation, but
no,
I've actually just been genuinely curious if
I got yeah, I remember thinking, your first instinct as a writer is, oh, is there a song here, or is there an angle I could take on this? And I think I tried for like a while, or I tried to write a little piece, and it was absolute dog shit. So
right,
I put it to bed, and but what this time, and yeah, the riots and all the mayhem that's been going on, like. It didn't inspire me musically. Quite the opposite, actually. Especially with COVID, I remember feeling just deflated, and I just felt like artists that aren't obviously huge or whatever. It's just felt like, oh, here's another thing that's gonna like screw us over. Now the live shows are gone. Like it just. Kind of, obviously I got pissed off, but
yeah.
But then I sat back and I was like, you know what, it was pretty childish, like when I was started to look at things outside of myself, and you know what I mean, like try to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I just started really. I felt like I started thinking about things I wouldn't normally think about. Like, as strange as it is to say, I started thinking about I don't know, like more, I don't want to say spiritual things, but I just started I just felt like there was cause music. Okay, so I'm not articulating this right, but music is out of the question for a while, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that left a bit of a. So what actually, what in what other way could I
like express yourself?
Yeah, express myself.
Yeah.
Add to society in some way.
Right.
And yeah, it. I'm still in the middle of it, to be honest. I haven't definitely haven't found any answers, but no, I definitely it definitely startled whatever notions I had. You know what I mean? It it unraveled a couple of things, and yeah, since I remember at the start, there was a spell there where I've had issues with anxiety over the years, and that definitely got triggered at one stage. And
was that like more because of like the COVID stuff, like the lockdown and
yeah, I think there was a couple of factors. Too much time on your hands, and I kind of what did they say? An idle brain is the devil's playground, or something like that.
sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that. And yeah, that kind of just put me on to, okay, all right, I'll have some time. Let's see what I can work out here. And I just started trying to meditate. And as I was saying earlier, I started yoga, which has been nice. But yeah, the time has made me, okay, music is kind of, in a performance-wise, is on hold. I can still write. I still write anyway. Like writing, I don't even feel like I write. I just feel like I kind of wake up and it just starts happening. I never sit down to write, you know. I'd always just, it's something always is going. But I just started to, what else? Like, what else is there? What else, what other questions do I have about myself, you know? And
Interesting.
Can be a dangerous question, but
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's, you don't necessarily want to find out. I know, yeah. No, it's, listen, the scariest thing to look at is a mirror, I think. You know, it's it could be sometimes if you're not sure what you're gonna see.
Exactly.
But, do you looking into the future, like because obviously we don't really know when things are going to end and when we're going to be able to start performing normally again and doing our thing. But like, what, like, you wake up tomorrow, it's another day. What are you looking for? What is your like routine like? What are you hoping for?
Out of, like, just regularly, what am I trying to get
like
at the end of the day?
what's your pursuit right now?
My pursuit right now is to really, and this is one thing. Remember, I was saying earlier about, you know, hearing a song or hearing a line and just being like, kind of just like, I've heard all that, like, you know what I mean? Like, so, my thing now is, regarding the songwriting, is what am I actually trying to say here? Is it even worth saying? Is it honest, or am I just kind of putting on a kind of I don't know, putting on a show, or is it actually what I actually care about, or is it just convenient, or is it socially acceptable to care about this now?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, really get down and be like, is it actually triggering me enough to try put out a piece of music?
Interesting.
And then I am also trying to, I feel like I've write the same song a lot, lyrically. I wrote a lyric recently. I actually wrote a lyric about that. About
how you write the same song?
Yeah, I was like, because I only write about what I know about, right? So,
Yeah.
And what was the lyric? Let me try to remember. Oh yeah, I put I'm tired of writing the same old song. I put my feelings on a list, but it ain't that long.
That's great, man.
And it was like two fucking subjects I was writing about a lot, and I was like, fuck, I'm getting bored of my own inner dialogue that's going on, right?
Yeah.
And then I started listening to the likes of John Prine and some of the Bob Dylan stuff, and I'm like, I love the way I just love the way there's some of the stories that come out are just, they mightn't necessarily have anything got to do with you as a writer, but just the way they can, I don't know, they like every song has a different subject matter, and it's fresh, and it's you're not just going around in circles, you know. Like, I'm even trying to write a song at the moment that is just a story song, right? Which I've never done, and I'm trying to, because I just feel like if I was pretty comfortable there for a while, just kept writing about the same kind of thing, and kept revisiting similar emotions and things, and
right.
that's when it gets a little repetitive, and no one wants to get bored. The major thing for me is I do not want to be bored. I want to be excited all the time.
Yeah.
When I'm writing, or else I just don't see. I don't see the point.
Yeah, I mean, making art, I think, should also be, making something new. And
yeah,
and if you're not contributing, a fresh perspective, then what are you really contributing?
exactly. And that's the thing too about what you were saying earlier about you have to go away from it and come back with inspiration or whatever. But it's like if you keep doing the same things over and over again, I know it sounds a bit silly now, but the same things keep happening. You know what I mean? Like you're thinking about the same thing the same way you thought about it 5 years ago. Like have you flipped that thought on its head and maybe investigate a little bit? And
absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe let that thought fucking die. You know what I mean?
So with that, here's a question. Do you think that Johnny Shay of 20 years old playing in a band after high school during college, do you think that person writes about the same thoughts back then as you do today? And it's a hard one. And if not, is there like, do you think that there's like a pivotal moment in your life or a big experience that you think like, wow, man, that really affected me?
Yeah. I remember, so 20, around the 20 years old, I remember the intention was kind of always there. Like even, I couldn't articulate it, but the intention of the songs was always trying to be honest, but then there was also insecurity back then where it was like, you want to say things that, oh, that sounds cool, or oh wow, that's a really deep thought or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But now I really don't care. I've gotten more selfish with it,
right?
Because I just found that I think my worst songs have always been when I'm trying to write for anyone other than myself.
Yeah.
And then I remember I didn't really, pre-20, I didn't really have something, not that there was nothing there worth writing, but the emotions were very, they would have been probably, superficial, and, you don't really have a fucking clue who you are, really, you know what I mean? And then I remember it was when I started developing, anxiety and panic attacks, and when I was about 21, 22.
Was there anything particular that created that, or is it just,
I was unemployed at the time, so there we go again with a little too much time on your hands. And then there was a death in the family, and I was partying a lot, and a lot of things just came together at once,
Yeah.
And I remember originally, and anyone who's ever experienced that kind of thing can probably relate, but it floors you the first time any of that comes into your world, because I never realized how intense awful feeling could get. I didn't realize that the mind could go that dark, right?
Right.
And up to then, I was like, when you're, and I remember I used to write when I was younger, like 17, 18, I'd write a sad song, right? But it wouldn't really be, I didn't know sadness until I felt that I had went through some sort of mental turmoil. I didn't know genuine sadness until I had some mental health issues. Uh-huh. And I didn't really, and then on the flip side, I didn't appreciate how beautiful the simple things in life are, which is funny to say, but I remember remember thinking at one of my lowest points, because it can get scary, very scary. And I remember thinking when I was young, I think I was 23 or something, I was like, fuck, I'd love to just be able to sit down in my family kitchen and just have a cup of tea with like I don't know, my mother or my father or whatever, without this fucking dread in my body. And I just like
Right.
I didn't appreciate sitting down having a fucking cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean I do. There are certain things that when you miss them in life because of whatever reason, it really it's funny like what kind of things you begin to appreciate once they've been taken away from you, when it's and it could be the simplest things that even maybe other people can still do. It's just that you have, whatever's going on, whatever you're dealing with, it's preventing you from doing it or from enjoying it. So yeah, I definitely know. I mean, I've gone, I've been pretty lucky. I can't say that I've ever suffered from, true like anxiety other than, a couple little things, but I've been pretty okay. I feel like, again, music has always saved me, and through any real bad situation I've had. But I definitely have been, especially going through like, the army and stuff like that's always been like, I remember, I remember one time, seeing, a family, like a family go out just to like a picnic as I was like on guarding duty, like just holding a gun and like wearing a vest and full uniform and a helmet in the desert heat. And there's like a family setting up for like a picnic, like right outside the base. And just thinking like it's a freedom they have right now. They can decide to get in a car and go picnic somewhere. I can't. I'm state property right now. Like,
Yeah, that's a fucked up feeling.
I can't do that. And so obviously that's not self-imposed, and it's not because of my psyche. It's just something that happens. And, for fuck's sake, like I went into it, even though it's mandatory, but it's like,
I know what you mean. I know what you're saying.
but it's that feeling that you don't have the freedom to do something that otherwise everybody has. Or if it's not the freedom physically, it's the mental capacity to do it and to really enjoy it. Because like you were saying, just sitting down to have a cup of tea with your family was like not to their fault. It's just you were overtaken by this, anxious feeling. And I can see how that would, that would quickly turn your level of how much you feel things, and turn the dial way up.
Oh fuck, it got well turned up.
Yeah.
But I remember for a good while after it, because I'm not saying that I'm past it or anything, but when that kind of thing initially ramps up, it takes over pretty much your whole life. Pretty much takes over, kind of. I don't know. You look at everything through that lens, and I remember my songs just started getting. Every song was about it, and because I was obviously trying to just figure it out. I think through song,
Right.
and I think I didn't figure it out through song, but I definitely was able to express it through song. But then that was it. That's where once I had done that successfully, then I started getting bored of just that topic. But when something overtakes your kind of your mental space, like it's as an artist, it's very natural to just, this is what needs to be expressed. This is what needs to be expressed. And I kind of had to break away from that. And you can still feel the pull, but there's more things to write about. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. I mean, I think there's two ways to look at it. One is like, yeah, there's always going to be other things, to write about. And I think as long as you want to be an artist that is interested in themselves. What I mean by that is like, you're gonna always want to make music that's interesting to you, and I think the experiences that you have are gonna be always something that affects it. But at the same time, if there's something that repeats itself, you're probably going to want to talk about it. I mean, we just did an interview, Jimmy and I, about the record that we just put out. And we realized, well, we actually did it on Mike's podcast, and then we had another interview with another fine gentleman from England. And it was kind of like we realized that whole record is, half about honesty and demand for honesty, and the other half is about dealing with depression and mental health. And all of it done through, a tongue-in-cheek, almost humoristic thing.
Yeah.
Some songs are a bit more serious, and we're fine with it. We're okay, because that's what it felt like. When we wrote those songs, that's what was on our minds, whether it be Jimmy or myself, and it just felt like the right thing to say for us. Now, when we're writing new songs, that's not the case, because things in our lives change. We've gone through certain things, personally, globally, professionally, you name it, things happen. And I think those experiences are, they're shaping up the new material that we have. And I love what we're doing right now. And is it because it's new experiences or because it's new subject matters? I don't know. Some of them are not, but whatever, as long as it's different and as long as it's new, I think it's, it's valid as long as we're excited about it.
Yeah. I hear you.
And I think that's the most important thing. I think as long as you're happy with whatever comes out, whatever you listen to, like you wake up the next morning and, you look at your phone and you listen to this voice note of something you made yesterday and you're like, oh yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his name? Jesse Hughes from Eagles of Death Metal.
Yeah.
Said, music is like milk. It's nothing new, but it's only good when it's fresh.
That's sick.
And I was like, that's
a great line, man.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I think about it. But I think maybe one kind of final thing I'd like to ask you these days is like, okay, so we're obviously still in this pandemic. It's looking better. It's looking like things are starting to open up. We're in stage 3 here in Ontario. Is there anything is there anything other than music, other than playing shows, other than doing that you truly miss, that you're like, this is the first thing I'm doing once everything is like out, all clear, we're good?
That I can't do now. Besides shows, no, probably not, to be honest. Shows is what I truly miss. Yeah, because besides shows, like, I'm happy enough to just kind of keep it low key anyway.
How about going home to visit the family?
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Like, yeah, there was definitely that was a strange feeling, not being able to go home, like being told it's not allowed. You're not allowed to go back home. Right. There was just a strange feeling. I remember it really kind of rattled our cages. Yeah, and then because it kind of made you really miss home as well. As it was a time to be with people who you love and who you care about, and over the Zoom or whatever the fuck it is, it's not the same, man.
No,
I think it's like an okay substitute, but I personally I don't really have a lot of time for this. I don't know what you'd call it, but these social media advances.
Yeah.
I don't, you know what I mean?
No, I hear it's nothing like being in the same room with somebody. It's just, especially if it's family or somebody you truly love and miss, it softens the blow, but it doesn't, you still you still feel like the you're still missing them. I don't not miss my brother because we did like, whatever, like a video chat over WhatsApp. I still miss the shit out of him. And same for my mom and dad and my whole family. And like the reason I ask you this question is because we're sort of in the same boat where, you don't have any family here. I have my in-law family here, but they're my real, no, I shouldn't say real, but my my birth family, we'll call it.
Yeah.
I have no physical connection with them right now, and
Do you struggle with that outside of COVID? Do you?
I do. It's not
So do
something.
I.
It's not something. I've been here for 10 years, and it's really hard to say. It doesn't get easier. Like I thought it would. I am very, I'm very focused on music and building a life and all that stuff that you can get distracted from that feeling. And I don't think anybody really stops missing their loved ones. I think you just get distracted from it. And if you're distracted enough, then you don't, then it's easier to deal with. But it's tough. It's the one thing, I love Israel and will always love it. And it's, it is my home. But I'm not going to lie. I love being Canadian and I love being a part of this place and whatever comes with it. The only thing that sucks about it is that I don't have my family here. So obviously there's always going to be a price to pay, living a 12-hour flight away, but it is what it is. Some people live an hour drive away and they still don't see their family. They see their family once a year. So, I guess it's a choice.
It depends. It depends what I don't know how you'd say, but whatever vibe there is within the family, obviously. But regarding my own and my fiance's, we'd be pretty close.
Sorry, I keep saying your girlfriend. I forgot that you were engaged.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We'd be very close with our families,
Yeah.
So yeah. And then when your parents start to get a little older as well, it's definitely on your mind that and then you want to get everything said that you ever wanted to say. You know what I mean? You just get a little conscious of it.
Right.
Whereas when you're fucking 16, you couldn't care less, But it's funny. But
I do tell my mom every time I talk to her, like that now, we talk like, at least once a week. And I always make sure she's aware that, we haven't always had it easy over the years, but how appreciative I am of the fact that she toughed it out, because I'm like, man, I'm so thankful for it. But it's like, you're right. Like when you grow old, you see how hard it is just being a normal functioning adult.
Man.
So that with like a raging metalhead teenager who, looks like he's doing drugs, but he's just a nerd. That's I can imagine how hard that
yeah, man.
be.
I don't have any kids or whatever, but I just think anyone that's a good parent, they deserve credit, man. It's definitely a tough gig.
100%. So I guess the things you're looking forward to is playing shows, hopefully visiting your family.
Playing shows, visiting the family. Miss the dogs big time. Missing my dogs big time. And yeah, man. I'm gonna say continuing with my yoga.
All right.
Which is a new one for me.
So maybe the next time we talk,
I might be enlightened.
you're gonna be like
I could be your guru.
Yeah, you're gonna wear a towel on your head, and you're gonna be like, shh. Center your chi. I don't know. I have no idea what yoga people do, but they always seem to have everything together and they're very silent.
That's the aim, anyway.
Awesome. Well, listen, dude. I love everything about you, and I love you as a person, musician. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
And,
man. Appreciate it.
we'll probably do this again
Fuck, it was
a
great.
bunch, because I would love to catch up and I'd love to tell people what's on the marvelous Johnny Shay's mind.
Nice one, man. Appreciate it.
All right, dude. Take care, and thank you for listening to Everything But the Song. This was episode 2 with Johnny Shay. I am your host, Tal Weisman, if you can call me the host or just another conversator. Check out some of other episodes. I will share links and all that other stuff in the future. Till then, much love. Peace.
Looking like it's going to be a long day standing on your aching feet and waiting for love to come and take your knees. All along it's been your only dream. Even back as early as school, they told you that you could be a winner too, and all this color only made you blue. All this knowledge didn't give you a clue. So tell me, honey, are you ready? Honey, are you ready? Honey, are you? Honey, are you ready? Honey, are you ready? Honey, are you? Honey, are you ready? Are you ready to lose? 'Cause we're out in the wild. We're out in the wild. Hungry, out in the wild, and lost out in the wild. And I don't know what we're doing here, but I know you're not alone. I don't know what we're doing here, but I know you're not alone. Looking like it's going to be the long way home, thinking hopefully the perfect storm will come and wash these wounds. The setting sun will let you bloom. And now they're all looking at you and wondering if you're gonna jump into their world. The water don't look that deep. Talk was cheap and now it's free. So tell me, honey, are you ready? Honey, are you ready? Honey, are you? Honey, are you ready? Honey, are you ready? Honey, are you? Honey, are you ready? Are you ready to lose? 'Cause we're out in the wild. We're out in the wild and hungry, out in the wild and lost out in the wild. And I don't know what we're doing there, but I know you're not alone. I don't know what we're doing there, but I know you're not alone.